Neal Atkinson joining us right now on the Lewis Automotive Hotline. Neal, coming close to it. I know we got a lot of things going on this weekend, but college football is just so close you can feel it.
Well, one of my favorite sayings is we got two seasons, football season and waiting for football season, and waiting for football season is almost over.
Certainly is. Very long list of prop specials for Arkansas football coming up. I'm just looking on the web browser right now, and I think I'm looking at 12 different prop bets, anything from regular season win totals to just various props on offense. Even your percentage of scoring in red zone. Just a lot that you can digest there at BetSaracen for the upcoming Arkansas season. Yeah,
and look, I went and looked, and I looked at some of the national books, and I looked at some regional books, and in states where online sports betting is. I think I can safely say that there is no team, as far as sports betting content, season-long props, things of that nature, that are covered better than the Arkansas Razorbacks. I mean, the content that we have, and we've got it under the special page, and that's a lot of it is curated with all the resources that we have and the relationships that we have, people that know the teams, a lot of data and stats. What all we have there.
I was going to ask you about that too, Neal, because I just was on the text line telling a listener how I'm not going to do a preseason prediction for Arkansas football this year, and it's because of the unknowns. It's because I have no idea what to expect. It's just I understand that's a segment everybody's done for the last 1,000 years in college football talk, but I don't feel comfortable doing it. So I just wonder, there's props on Monte Harrison, who didn't see the field very much last year, and there isn't much to go by. Same with Courtney Crutchfield. How did you come to a lot of these props for Arkansas players who just don't have much of a track record anyway?
Well, I've got news for you. We don't know what's going to happen either. So what we do is that I guess because of the transfer portal, we do have data on a lot of the new players that come in. The freshmen that are coming from high school. That's a different story. But they're not expected to be on the field that soon unless they're a superstar. And then we can inject that into our modeling. And at the end of the day, we're looking at the data and let's go with this number. It's the best number that we can come with. This is a number that we think we can make bettable, and it would be attractive to the users. Are we going to get with all that we've done? Are we going to get some of them right? Yeah. We're going to get some of them wrong. No. But that's the whole preface of sports betting is that these props are nothing more than when we put in our modeling, bringing in all of the historical stats, and then trying to weight it against the level of competition in the different games, how much they'll average against the SEC opponent, a top-tier SEC opponent, a mid-tier or lower-tier, and the non-conference ones, and whether or not, it's like an Alabama A&M is going to be a totally different weighted than Notre Dame would be, for instance, on those games. So we put it together, and then that's our opinion. Now, when you make that bet and you say, hey, it's going to be over, and you're going with that bet, you're saying, hey, your opinion's better than ours. You think you've got it too low. And so we're going to bet that market and go with it. So we just wanted to put it out there and have the options because we have all of that with the NFL game by game and with the advent of fantasy sports, and you can't do fantasy sports on college players. We want to have content in there that is similar to that. And not exactly like fantasy sports, but, something that somebody that's engaged with fantasy sports who we know transfers to sports betting. I mean, look at the two biggest sports betting companies in the world. They already had a database of fantasy sports writers, and, that's why they're number one nationwide. So we're just trying to cater to the base and what people want. And we're lucky we can do such a good job on Arkansas because, we only have that's the biggest team in the state, and that's what the most of our activity is on college football is on Arkansas. Now, we try to cover the other teams, but we have more data, of course, on Arkansas, and that's what we do. And it's just a menu offering out there, and we've got all the different combinations. We know those fans are engaged, so we're just giving and trying to see what they like and don't like, and tweak it as we go throughout the season. And this has been ever evolving. Used to we would do the specials and we'd have like 10 of them out there. Now we have an average of 50 and 60 game props out there that we compose, and it's just all based on how they perform and what customers have asked us for.
Well, obviously your users and customers like prop bets, but Arkansas is not one of the states that banned prop bets on college athletes. I think there's a handful of states that did, if not more than just a handful of states. But things are changing a little bit in a nuanced way at BetSaracen's for college player props.
Yeah, and we're voluntarily kind of doing it, and we've always taken a philosophy on props that we create not to do negative or adverse results of props, especially on players, for them not to do something in a game. And I think it's kind of obvious. There's news stories out, Jonte Porter's brother, there's a news story out today where he is, making some comments that are raising some eyebrows. And we know what has happened. And there's ongoing investigations because if you think about it, there's 39 states with legalized sports betting now, with I think 34 of them are online. And I'm including Missouri, which is going to be online by December. And they just announced 2 licensees today. So they're on track to go live with sports betting in our neighbors to the north in December. And look, this has always gone on, irregularities in it, and it's always been the gambling industry that has done it. And now that we have the technology and we have all of the data of all of these transactions, we're able to identify and use. We do extensive resources with integrity monitoring to make sure everything is right. So if we don't do negative props, negative outcome props on college players, well, there is no benefit whatsoever to any alleged point shaving or things like that's traditionally been something in the space. So if that bet is not there, then there's no temptation to do it. And the last thing we want is any scandal involved, with any school, but more so any school in Arkansas. And if we don't put the content out there that can be abused, we just feel better about that. And I know you can go, some people will go to illegal sites and bet over and under on a player's yardage and points in college. They can do that. I don't recommend that you do it, but that's not what we're about. So we're just doing our part with the integrity of the game, and there's nothing wrong with it. Now, they've also asked us, don't do things like how many penalties the officials are going to do. Don't do anything about, like in basketball, technicals on coaches or, things of that nature. Just negative outcome type things. And I'm okay with it. We did not officially subject ourselves to the NCAA and their regulation, but we're just trying to find middle ground because, at some point that if it got totally out of hand, we don't want Congress or a state regulator coming in and just banning it completely and taking away a huge feature that people want on the sports bet. And then, again, at the end of the day, if you take all of that away, you're just going to push people to the black market, which is while we're doing all of this, and so people have the protections or responsible gaming and all of that stuff.
Neal, have you seen the John Mateer thing that came out a few days ago? And everybody's been talking about that. There's another investigation coming out of the Eastern District of New York, the FBI, apparently ensnaring a number of counties in Pennsylvania, potentially could be the Big Five basketball programs in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia. We've also said that there's a number of, quote, Southern schools that may be ensnared in this too. I don't know where this is going, but there more things come out about gambling rings, point shaving. It feels like there's that athletes are still learning that you're going to get caught, which was different than Mateer. I don't know if this is a matter of gambling apps or anything, but it feels like more people now are being found out about this sort of thing.
Yeah, and look, you got to remember how many bets we strike a day versus a week versus a month versus a season. And it takes a while to analyze that data and follow trends. Just one incident or one thing doesn't always point to something irregular in a match. What it is, it takes a while to put it together. And the industry has come together with the resources, with external integrity monitoring, with what we can do with the data and analyze, and the cooperations by sharing anonymized data. We never share any customers' information, anything like that. We just give them raw data of these were the bets that were done. If there's dots that connected or things that raise the eyebrow, then you just start peeling the layers off. And that is what's happening. And I can't say very much about it because we participate in it and we go and look and see if we have any incidences. And you know, like I said, 39 states sports betting is legal, and I think it's 34 states where you have online sports betting. So you just think of every transaction that happens every minute on a sports book, but every data is there. Every keystroke is there. Every GPS ping when you're making your bet is there, and identity verification is there. Devices, if one device is used on one and is used on another, all of that is there, and you're going to get caught. Sometimes it will take time. And I think it's the best thing that's going to happen is if you do have a big story, yeah, it's ugly. People want to point fingers at the sports books and the gambling industry. But the end result is, hey, we can't get away with this. We're not going to do this. And the message is going to get out. Remember, these college players are making a lot of money now, and the pros are making a tremendous amount of money also. So there's responsibility that comes with it. Sports gambling is not going away. So, but I'm really glad with what we've been able to do and where all this is going. And yeah, it's going to be a black eye, and some things are going to come out. And look, it just shows that the system works, and we're able to identify. And that way, now the betting public can have, when they make a bet, they know everything's on the square. And if it's not, it's going to get investigated, and there's going to be repercussions from it.
Neal, before you go, I wanted to let you highlight some of the promos at BetSaracen's right now. You got UFC 319 this weekend. You got NFL and SEC championship protections as well. So how do these work?
Yeah, the UFC is a really easy one tomorrow night. Duplessis versus Chimaev. Yes, I butcher the names, Eastern European names I'm going to always butcher. We got a 30% parlay boost, not just on that fight, on any fight that's on the card on UFC, and that includes live betting or pre-match, you make before it goes off. 30% profit boost. Easy. Go to the promo tab and opt in. The other two, which I really do love, are the NFL championship protection. And now that I signed an official deal and have an official date, I can say Super Bowl protection. Whoever you pick to win the Super Bowl, up to $50. If they don't win the Super Bowl, as long as that team makes it past the wild card round, you'll get your $50 back in promo play. It's not no risk. It's just protection to where you'll have a second shot at those funds that you lost. SEC, very, very similar. We don't have we can't really, there's only two teams and there's no division in the SEC that go to the champions. So if your team is ranked in the top 5 at the end of the regular season using SEC tiebreakers, but they don't win the SEC championship, we'll do the same. Up to $50, we'll give you 100% of your stake back in bonus cash, and that way you'll have a second chance at it. So make sure you go to promo tabs, opt in on that.
Hey, it's Colton Little. Been trying to kill a little bit of time at work, so I logged on to MyBookie, and as the clock has ticked by, I've already made money, and I've already had a good time. They've got tons of great stuff on there. I'm talking about blackjack, roulette, live dealers, poker, and a full lineup of slots. They didn't make me download an app. All I had to do was just log in, made a quick deposit, and then I was playing games and winning money. If you're thinking about checking out MyBookie, you should have done it yesterday. Use the promo code HOGS, and they'll toss you a nice deposit match of up to $1,000. And now you can bet on the Hogs all season long with MyBookie.